Do you and Debbie Harry get together and reminisce about it?
I see Debbie every once in a while. I mean, she was so cool. She kind of took on. She's a friend and sort of like a mother figure in a way that she was very protective of me when we did all that. And I'm a big H.R. Giger fan, and she's like, come to my apartment. She's showing me like, dog armor that he did on VHS tape, and he did that great portrait of her with the needle through her face, and she's just a really cool woman.
Well, you've worked with that. It seems that you and Andrew Lincoln get along on
we
this
get along
show and
great.
in life. Yeah.
And we prank each other all the time. And
what have you done to him that's really gotten to him?
Oh, jeez, I filled his trailer full of chickens.
Live or dead?
Alive, big mean ones. And then
really.
Yeah, and then I filled his air conditioner in his car full of glitter. So every time he turns on, glitter goes all over him, which was just because it's it's like 100 degrees, so you have to just suffer through it. And then the last one, he took my motorcycle and put it on a boat and pushed it out in the middle of a lake with a sex doll on it. Yeah, I mean, he's like, I have to say, he's kind of my BFF. And I also want to say, like, the work that he did this year, and just overall that he's done, it's so good. Like, that guy deserves an award, for real. I think this season I'm gonna campaign to try to get him nominated because he's so good. He's the quarterback of our actors. He's the first one there. He's the last one to go home. Whenever any actor on the scene has a difficult scene that they want to talk about, they call Andy, and he has the time to go through. He really deserves it. I really want to push for him to win something.
We'll start a campaign.
I will.
Everybody seems to be running for something now.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. So you're all. It sounds like everybody's getting along down there. And
they do.
If they're not, they're probably one of the people that die. I just don't know how that happens.
Yeah, everybody really does get along. They really, really do. They really care for each other. And, I remember doing movies early on, and, I'd be crying here, and the camera would be here, and the actor I'm crying to is like looking over his shoulder going, can you give me a cappuccino? And I'm like, is this how this works? Like, it's not like that on the show. Like, if you're doing a scene and no one else is supposed to be there that day, and it's a big scene, they'll all come and watch and root you on, and nobody is above asking the actor they're working with, like, should I try this? Like, what do you think about this? Like, and they'll give you the honest answer because they want you to do the best job. It's a very tight group there.
And yet you have so many other things on your plate. You have a new show that was on this summer, Riding with Norman Reedus, right?
Yeah.
You're on a motorcycle with a lot of people visiting places.
Yeah.
Is that coming back?
Ride just got picked up for a second season, and we'll start that in
So if
January.
it doesn't work out for you at The Walking Dead, you still have your motorcycle show.
I kind of got some good gigs going on right now. I won't lie. I'm kind of lucky at the moment. But yeah, so we'll pick that back up, and we're talking about going to, possibly going overseas this year, and some cool guests and stuff. That show's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain, and we're kind of trying to follow in Anthony's footsteps because he's the king of it. Without the food, a little bit of food,
yeah.
But and some of the people that work on his show work on this show, and he's a big influence for sure. But yeah, so we'll
and I hear there might be a Boondock Saints 3.
I didn't say that. I don't know where that's coming from. It's all over the internet, but I didn't say that. I don't. They just. I think if I said that like a year ago when there was talk of it, and then the talk went away. But I'm not opposed to doing another one, of course, because those are a lot of fun. But
what was there, a decade between 1 and 2?
Well, that was because there was a lawsuit happening, and we had a 10-year contract, and so. At the end of that 10-year, there was just a bunch of people in a room, a bunch of lawyers watching the clock, and then they hit 12 and they all signed. It was literally like that. So that's why there was that big of a jump between those two.
Well, I think your fans want to see you do any number of things to do that. But because you do like horror, I'm interested in what you said about that. You have a quote about, what is it, the devils cry and the angels stab you?
Yeah.
That's what you like, that there's two things going on?
I do,
What are those horror movies that you grew up on that you love, that you would say to people to watch, that have a little of that quality in it?
Well, I like that. The Exorcist was the first movie I really fell in love with. That one and The Omen. I really like The Omen. Yeah, you know, I have an art show that's about to show in Paris, and it's photographs of mine that I've taken, and a lot of those images are horrific, but there's something really beautiful in them. I've always liked to find something really pretty in stuff like that. I mean, you know, Joel Peter Wicken's one of my favorite photographers. I like Goya. I like images that are romantically horrific, you know, and I think that's kind of where I was headed with that quote.
Well, it's a good contrast. But
yeah.
What about the zombie movie genre? Besides what you're in, are there any of those you love?
Well, I mean, you know, one of my favorites was Return of the Living Dead, but I think it was mostly because of the soundtrack. It had, like, you know, TSOL and all these bands in it. But as far as zombies, you know, Night of the Living Dead is one of them. I'm a big fan of John Carpenter's movies. You know, from The Fog, and you know, I actually got a chance to work with John once. But you know, it's not just zombie movies. I mean, you know, I like Jaws. You know, I like you know, the ambience around, you know, dun dun dun. I like all that build up and suspense. You know?
But it's not about scaring you. It's beyond that what you like, isn't it?
I think I'm hard to scare, to be honest.
Did anything ever scare you?
You know, I was hit by a bus in Berlin and have a titanium eye socket.
Sure, just like throw that in there. I mean, you just hit by while in the car.
I was in a car, yeah, but I went through the window. But what I was saying is, like, I went through that and that was scary. But then I kind of was like in the hospital, like, yeah, you know, this happened. I'll just get over it. But then again, if I like lose my keys, I freak out for like an hour. You know what I mean? Or if I bend down to pick something up and I missed it, I got to go back down and get it again. I'm like, they'll like ruin my day. But you know, getting hit by a bus I just got hit by a bus.
But that must have been a long recuperation from something like that.
It was a long time.
You have a titanium socket?
I do. And
was your face messed up?
It would look like a hamburger. Yeah.
So what do you say to yourself as an actor?
Well, you know what I did is I was in the hospital in Berlin, and I had a director friend that I'd worked with, a German director, who kind of came and translated what the doctors were saying. And it was, I had surgery after surgery after surgery, and this would have to go down to do more surgery. And while I was in there, he brought me, I asked for those little army men, and I set up army men all over the floor, and I wrote a script about being inside the head of Miles Davis. And I took a little camera, and I did all the camera moves, and I was faxing the pages of this to a producer in LA, and then I snuck out of the hospital a week early, and that director got me on a plane, and I went to LA with like my face bandaged up and one eye covered and all purple, and directed at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel in there. They have a spooky ballroom. Directed this thing about being inside the head of Miles Davis, and I got that idea from an article I read about Miles, where he was doing an interview and he was just torturing everyone in the room. So I did that while I was there.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So jazz is a big. I mean, you have a teenage son who's called Mingus.
Whose birthday's today.
Today, Mingus, happy
Mingus,
birthday to
thanks,
you. Well, how old is he now?
He's 16 now.
16.
Yeah. No, he's 17. What am I
Wow.
saying? He's 17.
17 today.
Jeez, time flies.
Is it Charlie Mingus his name?
Absolutely. Yeah,
wow.
Charlie Mingus.
So is he a fan of The Walking Dead?
He's a fan of The Walking Dead. He used to sort of watch it like this. And then one day I went to go pick him up from school, and he had this, a long time ago, like 6 years ago, he had this big smile on his face. I'm like, what are you smiling about? And he's like, some of the bigger kids is like, your dad Daryl Dixon? And he was like, yeah. So he was getting like big kid love. So now he's in it. But now he watches it and tells me what I do wrong and how we should have shot it like this and not that.
Everyone's a critic, you know,
Yeah,
you just
totally.
have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this show ends always in song. Something musical.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you know, nothing scares you.
No. I merely thought,
it doesn't.
Donna.
I hear you can do the Omen theme.
The Omen theme?
Yeah.
Geez, how did that go?
Yeah.
Wait, how did it go?
I'm waiting for you.
No, wait, I'm mixing it with Jaws now.
Well, then, there must be a song in your heart and in your head that you're keeping to yourself.
Yeah.
It's just yours.
Of course.
But
sure.
I'm thinking of the Omen theme in my head.
How's it go? Sing it.
I can't do it.
Right.
I'd love to do it if you started it. But
I
you
think
went,
it was a Isn't that it? Omen theme? No, no way.
No.
Everyone's like, no.
We don't have to pay for the rights to that.
All right, good.
Anyway, Norman, thank you
Yeah, it was
so
a pleasure,
much.
man.
That was really
Yeah.
great.